Hi, welcome back, you beautiful souls. This is part 6 to What If Kenichi Adopted Naruto? And the first episode in the arc of the Rampaging Fox. That being said, in the last part, Kakashi was completely surprised about how well Naruto had rallied his teammates in the sheer determination that the three showed in the cooperation that they had. So if you want more reference and everything, you can go and watch the previous episode. So in this episode, it's going to be covering a little bit before they go on their escort mission with Tasna, and this is where the story really starts to change. So we cut to later on that day after the belt test, and we cut to a scene where Kakashi is sitting down to have a bowl of ramen. Is it Ikiraki ramen or not? You guys I will leave that up to your own imagination. He's sitting there, and the food comes and the bowl is placed in front of him. He goes to grasp the chopsticks, but as soon as he grasps them, they fall out of his hand, and he's sitting there puzzled. And then he's like, "Kid does. Damn, I shouldn't have taken Sensei's kid. I should have taken Sensei's kid serious." That kid probably doesn't realize he's naturally releasing his chakra in his blows, he thinks as he flexes his hand, and then proceeds to pick up the chopstick and eat. So, over the next however much time it was in canon, they do a bunch of D-rank missions, finding cats and everything. And over this time, Kakashi is slowly looking at his four students, and he realizes that Hana's biggest problem is her need to protect her brother, and he realizes if she's ever going to surpass him or the level of the Genin, she's going to have to get rid of that. Well, she's almost at a Chunin level, if not a low-grade Chunin level, but for her to progress any further, she's going to have to get over the incessant need to help her brother. Otherwise, she won't grow into a Kunoichi of the Hidden Leaf to the level that he knows she can be. He notices with Sakura that she's just like Hana, she's too tied up in wanting, with Sasuke, like in canon. And then Sasuke he's too self-centered on his goals and doesn't really like relying on other people. But during the Bell exam, he realized that, yes, Sasuke has all these issues, but he can, when push comes to shove, he will work with the teammates. And then he notices with Naruto, it almost seems like Naruto is scared of using his full strength. And he's just pondering as he's eating and everything. These kids. Well, with Naruto, Boris said he had issues with using jutsu. Maybe it's because he begins to think back on the few times that he had minor instructional sparring with Han, and he's like, those two definitely are siblings. I should have realized the brat was going to be more. God, I should have used the Sharingan. Maybe my hand wouldn't be so. And before many of you go in the comment section and headhunt me, let me explain. Kakashi isn't really hurt. It's more like if you ever like have ever over worked yourself in the gym or in an exercise, like the soreness that the muscles in like your tendons and bones feel. That's what he's feeling in his hand. It's not really hurt. It's he's just sore. Like his hand is extremely fatigued. So later on, he will go to by the hospital and get it treated for like whatever damage it is. Then, but Kakashi is just thinking back in why it says Naruto kind of holds back, and he probably doesn't realize that he's releasing his chakra, is because the first blow that he caught, Naruto had chakra infused into his hand. But then every subsequent after that, there wasn't as much chakra. So Kakashi is thinking, it's like, so does he subconsciously hold back? Or then he's like, the weights. He's been focusing his chakra around the weights. Ah, yeah, finally. Students that I can... And that Uchiha kid. He hasn't unlocked his Sharingan yet. Maybe. As he, like, holds his hand as he's finishing up eating. As he's leaving, he's just smiling. And he's like, these four couldn't have asked for a better team. Yeah, they have their faults, but I have a feeling they're going to end up pushing each other to heights further than what Sensei did with us. As a cold shiver goes down his spine. As he remembers Minato, like, just manhandling him in his bell test, kind of. Sensei, if you were here, you'd be proud of your son. He's going to turn out to be a fine shinobi indeed. Though, he's just as knuckleheaded as you. As he remembers stories of Minato like, reminiscing about, like, his team's training with him. So during those times, during the training, he really starts seeing the character flaws in him, and really begins to, like, kind of push them to be more individual, to be more of themselves, to discover the limits of their own strengths. So after how much time of doing all these D ranks, just like in canon, Naruto goes up to the Lord Third, explaining that why are we wasting our time with all these D rank missions, Lord Third? You know, like, all four of us, we want to be challenged. Like, this isn't any challenging us. We can't get any better. We can't beat. As Hane, like, grabs his shoulder. Yeah, that's right, Lord Third. You're wasting our potential. And this makes Kakashi a little proud. He's like, they're finally standing up for themselves, and their bond as a team's been getting stronger. And this is when Lord Third, like, chuckles a little bit, and he says, well, young Naruto, young Hana, young Sasuke, and young Sakura. It's in luck. We actually have a D rank escort mission. And he turns to Kakashi. He's like, you think they're up for this? You think they're up for this kind of missions? One moment. You think they're up for this, Kakashi? And Kakashi nods. He's like, well then, Tazuna, you can come in now. So, just like in canon, Tazuna, like, comes in and he sees the four and he's like, doesn't look like anything special. Except that he notices that Naruto and Hana have already readied kunai, and also Sakura and Sasuke kind of are stiffening up at this. And then he's like, maybe you four aren't as useless as I thought. Looks are a little bit misleading with these four, aren't they, Lord Third? And Hanzo, like Saratobi, says, yes, indeed. As you know who their teacher is, as Tazuna looks at Kakashi. Well, that's probably why. All right, let's go. So Kakashi tells them that they have an hour to prep the gear and everything. So Hana and Naruto head home to pack a bag and get ready for the mission. They all meet up, and Sakura and Sasuke are there first, and Hana and Naruto come up, and they're kind of laughing. And Sasuke's like, "What are you two laughing at?" And Hana just growls at him. It's like, "What is it to you then?" And Sasuke's like, "Never gonna forgive me for what I said, is he?" And Naruto just kind of walks up to him and puts his hand on his shoulder and kind of snaps Sasuke out of his train of thought. And Naruto just kind of gives him a smile. And Sasuke looks at him, and Sakura is like over there, like, I can't believe he's touching Sasuke like that. Because she still kind of has that fangirl mentality when it comes to Sasuke. So they make, making Ganon, Kakashi, and Tazuna show up, and he asks them, like, are they ready? All four of them say, yes, Sensei. And he's like, well, then let's be off. So on their journeys, after several hours, Hana is like, Kakashi Sensei. And he's like, yeah, just be on guard. So a few more minutes pass, and this is when the twins attack. Just like in canon, Kakashi avoids it with the clone. Excuse me. Just like in canon, he avoids the attack with the clone jutsu, and everyone besides Hana's a little mortified at this. And Hana's thinking super fast. She's like, wait, why didn't Sensei just... It can't be. He's testing us? These two, they're above, right? Wait, no. Sensei would never do that. He wouldn't leave his teammates behind like that. Wait, And right before she could say anything to everyone, this is when, after Naruto and Sasuke had their fight with the twins, Kakashi pops up out of the ground. Kakashi pops up out of the ground, taking out one of the other twins. And then Kakashi turns to Hana and Sakura, and they're kind of in a guard position with Tazuna. And he walks over and he kind of says, "Good job, young Hana. Figured it out, didn't you?" She's like, "Yes, Sensei. You used it as a distraction to place yourself in a way that you can take out the enemy in one foul swoop, because, yeah, these two are definitely strong, but you're here, Sensei." And just like in canon, the twins are taken care of. Now, this is where the story is really going to change, and a few of you may get upset with this because of how I've built up the character Hana. So, as Zabuza comes in to do his fight with them the first time, they dodge it like in canon, and the fight proceeds to where Kakashi tells them to stand down, and he shows up revealing a Sharingan, which surprises everyone but Hana, because she's like, so I guess he's really being pushed to go all out. Brother, Sasuke, Sakura, hold back. If we go in there, we're going to be in Sensei's way. So the fight with Zabuza is in... And Kakashi goes just like in canon. Kakashi gets captured by the water prison jutsu, where he's in like that water bubble. And the fight with the clone Zabuza is going to go slightly different, because you have not only like a stronger Naruto in this, but you also have Hana there, and by extension, with how Hana has interacted with the entire class at the academy. Yeah, Sakura's still kind of useless at this point, but she's more useful than her current canon counterpart at this time in the story. I would say she's more towards the. She's a little bit more developed in her taijutsu and her control over her chakra. And she's slowly gotten the idea after seeing how Hana and Naruto fight, and with Naruto kind of crushing her dream, telling her that basically what Kakashi is wanting them to do is to like build their own strength, and that she should stop relying on everyone else. So, needless to say, this is going to be. Zabuza realizes that he's got to put more effort into this, and as he catches Naruto and Sasuke off guard, he kind of breaks them, like hitting him with the sword. And before he can go in for a killing blow on Naruto, this is when Hana like appears in front of him, basically catching the blade with one of her arms. She's like, "No, I won't let you hurt my brother." And as she catches the blade, her arm pretty much just gets destroyed. Like, it just basically becomes like this mangled mass. And Sakura is coming there because she goes to lift up like Sasuke, kind of like she does in canon, if I'm remembering correct. If not, she comes over to like kind of help Sasuke get up, and then when she sees like Hana's arm, everyone is just, she's kind of mortified at this, but then she starts feeling something weird, something emanating from Naruto, and everyone just sees like Naruto's eyes just turn red as this weird chakra starts enveloping him. And you just hear Naruto yell like, you hurt her. You hurt my sister. No, I wasn't strong enough. No. As this primal guttural roar can be heard coming from Naruto, as he starts releasing more and more of his chakra, to the point where like the weights in like his clothing are starting being strained on this. And in an instant, Naruto gets up and he destroys the water clone, and he's just staring right at Zabuza. He's staring right at Zabuza as he catches his sensei, and Naruto kind of falls to the knee. And then Naruto goes to like take off, but before he can, Kakashi knocks him in the back of the head and kind of knocking him out. And he goes up, and before he can take out Zabuza, because he's thinking, it's like, Naruto, no. And the conversation has with Zabuza, you hurt my students and I couldn't do anything. Naruto, I'm sorry. Clips Naruto, and then before he can kill Zabuza, this is when Haku interferes like in canon, and Naruto is knocked out. And Kakashi runs over, and he quickly starts to do like a minor sealing jutsu. And this is when Naruto like comes to, and he's like, no, she's dead, no. As he comes running over to his sister, and Hana just kind of is looking up at her brother, and Naruto just has tears in her eyes. So does Sakura and Sasuke at times, because yeah, she's a little brat, but where they failed, they kind of locked up in fear against like Zabuza. She showed no fear, and this kind of lights a an even bigger fire under Sasuke, and even more so Sakura, because she has that feeling like before she starts training with Lady Tsunade, that she doesn't want, she starts having those feelings of how worthless she is. But then she remembers what Naruto said to her. It's like, you can definitely get stronger. And this makes her think, it's like, I've got to get stronger. No matter what, I can't let another teammate get hurt like this before. Again, when Naruto gets there, Hana looks up to her brother and says, bro, it's okay. I'm not that really hurt, as she winces in pain. And Naruto just leans down and he's breathing heavily. And he's like, no, Hana, no. I can't yell this, but I can do this. As his hands begin to glow and he grabs his sister's arm, kind of mending the bones, but not really being able to really truly mend it, but to the point where she's not going, where it's not just a mangled mess. It's just, her arm's really messed up, but it's a non-life threatening. And in the back of Hana's mind, she's like, no, my dream. Never, I'm not going to be able, I'm just going to hold my brother back. It's going to crush his dream. So they get to Tazuna's house, and this is when the whole incident, like in canon with Tazuna's grandson happens. Everything like that happens in canon with the tree walking and everything. And when Kakashi goes to explain the tree walking, this is when he sees Hana like with her arm kind of bandaged up and like being held against her arm, because she's basically been told that she is out of this mission, and as soon as like they're done with it, because he did initially want to send her home, but with his ninja dogs, like having them take her back to the Leaf Village. But Hana says, Sensei, if I left now, that means I'd be deserting my team. And Kakashi is like, well then, Hana, if you're going to stay with us, you're not allowed to fight. You need to focus on healing your hand. And he kind of leans down next to her and tells her, it's like, infuse chakra into your arm. Keep it alive. It's starting to deteriorate. As he kind of like taps like the covering over like one of his eyes. And Hana kind of understands what he's saying. Because, yes, Naruto did prevent Hana from bleeding out, but he couldn't repair the damage that had already been dealt. Basically, her arm is slowly but surely going to whittle away, and eventually just either she's going to have it amputated, or some serious medical ninjutsu is going to be needed to use to like at least heal her arm to the point to where she can move it, but not really make any hand signs. And many of you are like, wait, yes, in this, Hana is no longer able to use any of the jutsus outside of stuff that is required for her to focus her chakra. To like points like tree walking or water walking. Because even if you don't have access to your hands, it has been shown that you can still water walk and like tree walk, i.e. the Akatsuki member that has the explosion release, because it has been shown of him like without his arms, effectively running through the trees, and also I'm not sure if it shows it with him on water, but regardless, without one of his hands, he's still able to keep his body latched on to like trees and other objects. So when Kakashi shows this off, and unlike in canon, Kakashi is less hurt. He's not in the full like wearing like he does have bandages and stuff, but he's not using a crutch to walk. He walks up the tree, and to a surprise, Hana basically says, "Like this, Sensei?" As she kind of talks to him from like the branch across the tree, and he's thinking in the back of his head, he's like, I wouldn't expect less from you, especially after I've already kind of like explained the basis to you before. And this is like Sakura, she goes to try it, and at first, when she initially does it, she has difficulty, but after the first time, she's able to do what she does in canon. And both Naruto and Sasuke are just a little bit baffled at this. They're like, they can do this, we can't. Both of them are just frustrated, even more so than what they are in canon, because not only is Sakura kind of taunting them and calling Naruto an idiot, which then Hana lied for rebuttals with that. Well, Sasuke's no different, Sakura. He's having trouble with it too. He's as much of an idiot as my brother. Well, I'll admit this, Sakura. He's smarter than my brother. My brother's dense and it'll probably take him longer. And this makes Sasuke and Naruto go even further, like harder in their training. And when they get to the treetops, unlike in canon, they do kind of have a conversation. Sasuke goes, Naruto, your sister's something else. Even after Naruto looks down and a tear kind of starts dropping from his face. And it's like, yeah, I know. Even after she lost her arm, it's gone. She won't be able to accomplish her dream. And Sasuke's like, oh, so the little brat does have a real dream. And Naruto kind of glares at him, and Sasuke's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. And Naruto goes, yeah, I get it. She is a little bit of a brat sometimes. And Naruto kind of laughs, and Sasuke's like, what is it? Because they're kind of just sitting up at the top of the tree, kind of cross-legged, because they are a little bit winded at this point. And Sasuke's like, well, I don't know about you or Sakura, but after seeing that, after the way I treated her, I don't know. It's not that I like her, but maybe my view of revenge is flawed. Even someone as strong as her got hurt like that. And if I get hurt like she did, I won't be able to accomplish my goal of killing my bro. And Naruto catches this, and he's like, Sasuke's like, I won't be able to kill the one that I'm supposed to avenge my family for. And Naruto begins to think, like, wait, his brother's the one that killed his family? That's true. Sasuke. Sakura. And Sasuke just snaps to it where Naruto's just slapping his face, going, fine then. I'm gonna become a Hokage to where no one in my village gets hurt. Well, maybe not hurt unnecessarily. And the two begin to laugh as they kind of start coming down from the tree. And as they come in, everyone just sees the two kind of using each other for support. And Kakashi kind of sees this, and he's like, they finally did it. They finally actually got over their differences, maybe. Because this is when Sakura, because this is after Sakura says, what are you two all buddy-buddy for? Don't you guys hate each other? And this is when Sasuke looks at her, it's like, Sakura, it's not like that. It's just, I have more respect for Naruto than you. And Naruto, he said this to you in the past. You need to stop being such a weakling. You have Hana. She sacrificed her arm for the team, for the mission. What did you do? You just stood there, in fear. And, well, we're no better than you in that aspect, but at least we're working hard to get better so something like this never happens again. And Sakura's really taken aback by this, and it really submits, and she's like, how dare you talk to me like that, you moron! As she huffs off and leaves, just kind of grabbing something off the table. And before Naruto, he kind of is grimacing at Sasuke for saying this, but before he could do anything and react, Kakashi just kind of is already standing there, telling him just let her go. She needs to figure this out on her own, Naruto. And so we're gonna cut to the next day, like in canon. Naruto oversleeps, and when he comes to, Hana sitting there next to his bed, and he's like, Hana, I'm sorry, I didn't. If I was strong enough, you wouldn't have lost your dream of becoming the greatest kunoichi of all time. And Hana just begins to cry, and it's like, yes, but I don't want you to give up on your dream of becoming Kage, big bro. And Naruto's like, never going to give up on that. If anything, I need to become a Kage so something like this never happens again. I don't want my friends, my family to be hurt like this again. I've already lost, even though I never met them, I've already lost my parents, and I can't go through that again. If I lost you, as he grabs Hana, if I lost you, or mom or dad, I don't know what I would do. And Hana kind of pushes her brother away, going, ouch, idiot, you know I'm still hurt. Naruto and her begin to laugh, and he's like, well, I've got to get going. As he races out. And on his way to, the bridge, in canon, because I'm skipping a couple of days in this. I know things aren't progressing like they are in canon, so they're progressing a little bit differently. One moment, I have a guest. Sorry about that. I had a guest show up. Yeah, because I'm trying to record this at work. But I believe where I left off, I was explaining things in this are progressing differently because of the show that Naruto had shown. We don't really get the whole Naruto interaction with Haku in the forest, because the whole him and Sasuke really cement their rivalry in the next couple of days, because unlike in canon, yeah, Naruto does kind of have a crush on Sakura, but he's not stingy with training, because Kenichi always taught him and told him that he can always learn from his opponents, no matter who they are. And he basically has the mentality, if the people around him get better, the better he can get. Kind of thing is what's going on. So we still get that whole canon Nendo that canon Naruto has. So during the fight at the bridge, buddy. Oh, this is a doozy. So, a few things change in this fight. Yes, just like in canon, Sasuke is caught in the ice mirror thing, and the whole shenanigans inside that go. But as things are progressing, Hana shows up there. And she's holding like a weapon with her good hand. And this is when she sees Naruto and Sasuke getting like manhandled, and she's thinking no. And then she sees Kakashi and Zabuza kind of having a standoff, and she quickly analyzes the situation. She's like, wait, those two are fighting, and then Kakashi's making sure that, and then she sees Sakura standing there right next to Tuxna. And she's like, wait, that's the oh my god, we were such idiots. Of course they were working together. And as Naruto and Sasuke are basically pinned down, this is when Hana begins to think. It's like, no, they're gonna die. I'm too weak. Wait, maybe. Yes. It's a long shot, but she basically takes the short sword like out from like behind her back and cuts like her like hand, and she like slams her hand down on the bridge, and she's thinking, it's like, I don't care who it is or whatever it is, come help me. And as Naruto's nine-tailed chakra light begins to envelop him again, everyone starts to feel like a sudden terror, like chills going down their bones as they notice Hana finally. But something weird's happening. And Kakashi's over there looking at it. So is Zabuza, like, because Hana is really releasing a lot of chakra pressure, and this even like catches the other three down, and she's like, this is kind of changing it how people interact. And well, you have Kakashi and Zabuza just kind of taking notice of this, and Zabuza's like, I'm gonna have to get real serious here. And Zabuza begins to like put his hand on like the sword, and that's right when Kakashi acts, coming in to like go to impale him, to like killing, but then like Haku is standing there in front of it, and Naruto and Sasuke are just baffled at how fast Haku moved. And this is when Haku like stays. It's like, it's weak, but at least I could save you, Zabuza Sensei. As Haku kind of collapses there on the ground. And this is when like Zabuza is just kneeling down there, like kind of holding Haku, and he begins to like get angry. But then everyone just sees Hana just sees Hana starting to be encased in this ball, like this black ball. But then flashes of white like start coming off of it. So now we're going to cut inside the ball, and this is where Hana meets her summon. She's standing in this great abyss, and then she hears something behind her. She turns around and she sees this giant wolf with multiple tails, and it goes, and it's lifting its head up from like as it had it tucked, as though it had it tucked next to its stomach. You know how dogs kind of curl up in a ball. This thing was kind of in a similar position. It's like, and it's like, who awoke me? That smells familiar. Ah, young one, was it you that awoke me? What is it that you want? Let me guess, you want power. And this entity, like Hana replies, like, no, you may be powerful, but I just want someone to protect my brother at any cost. Then he goes, at any cost, you say? Are you willing to give your body over? And this is when Hana takes the sword and goes to like cut like her arm off. But before she can, back to the real world. Everyone can see this ball like this ball like kind of starting to diffuse. And sorry about that. I had some mix the sound kind of cut out at the 40, a little bit after 41 mark. So we cut to the real world. Everyone can see as like the steam starts coming off of this ball. And I know summoning jutsus aren't like this, but I'm taking a little bit of an inspiration with what the hell happened with freaking Boruto summoning that goblin freaking thing. Yeah, that brought more questions than answered, but I digress. So she essentially created a brand new summoning contract. And before everyone gets all up in ante, she's calling because she was thinking about the seal. She's seen Kakashi use his summoning jutsu, and with how smart she is, she's thinking that this is the only thing that she can do to help the team out because she can no longer use other types of jutsu. But she's thinking like I will even like sacrifice my body part, like my body, in order to accomplish this goal. So that's what's going on. So as steam begins to evaporate from the ball, it starts shrinking until it's in a human form, and then a moderately sized smoke appears. And standing there growling, like kind of like snarling, is this two-tailed wolf. Fox, wolf, you take your pick. But regardless, the sheer amount of bloodlust that this thing is letting off is palpable in the air. And this catches Kurama. He's like, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, I'm not scared of it, but what the fuck is that? Kind of thing, pardon the language. So, that being said, that's where I'm actually going to end this part. In the next part will be the fallout of Hana's new summoning combined with, well, you'll see in the next part. That being said, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you think about this part down below. Also, I'll leave a link to the Discord in the description, which is a permanent link. You can go there. What I'm trying to do is to actually get conversations started up in discourse between viewers. Some viewers I'll like for particular ideas, like if I like your suggestion, I will talk to you through private messages to kind of bounce ideas to like actually make the what if. So that's where you would want to make the what if suggestion underneath the what if page. The future what ifs is like general discussion on future what ifs that I'm planning and I want to help from the entire community. But where you could suggest what ifs is in the what if suggestions tab in the channel. That being said, I will see you beautiful souls in the next video.